How's it going, guys? We're approaching the end of fall in the Sacramento Valley, California, and one of the fruit trees that come to fruition around this time of the year is quince. It's a beautiful piece of fruit, and they're in the same family as apples and pears, palm family of fruit trees, and their fruits tend to ripen around this time of the year, end of autumn, beginning of winter, and the more you let them stay on the tree, the softer they become and they'll be easier to consume. So what I got to say about this piece of fruit, quince, is that their flavor tends to be quite complex. They're astringent, they're sour, and very sweet at the same time, but they're pretty dry inside. So if you decide to consume a piece of quince off the tree, you want to make sure you have a glass of water in your close proximity to aid you with swallowing the piece of fruit down. After of course you've chewed it up and it's been mixed with your saliva, you still want to have a little bit of water to help you to kind of swallow the piece of fruit. They're pretty dry, but absolutely love the aroma. They're extremely aromatic and the flavor is just quite wonderful. What I got to say is that the way we encountered quince in our backyard was really an unintended consequence of planting a couple other fruit trees. In our case, medlar and also Bartlett pear. What I got to say is that quince, the tree in general, tends to be quite cold hardy. It's got a very resilient root system that can cope with a variety of environments, so they can withstand the variation in the pH, and also they can cope with wet soils and dry soils, and they're highly sought after for grafting other types of cultivars onto the quince rootstock. Of course, if you have a fruit tree, you have the rootstock and you have the cultivar. That's the fruiting body that's grafted onto the rootstock. The rootstock is responsible for absorbing the nutrients, water, to supply them to the cultivar, and the cultivar is a fruiting body that produces the fruits. So in the case of our Bartlett pear, the pear was grafted onto this quince rootstock. Well, one issue, I don't want to say issue because that would sound like a negative thing. I absolutely love pears, but is that when it's used as a rootstock, it quite powerful, kind of dominating offshoots tend to emerge from a quince rootstock. In the case of our Bartlett pear, the quince offshoots basically pretty much dominated. They overtook the tree, and now it's really become a quince tree with I think there are just a couple branches that still bear just a small amount of pear, but quince I think consumes most of the nutrients, and it's a larger piece of fruit, and they tend to dominate. And the same thing with the medlar. I think our tree produced quite a few medlars last year and the prior year as well, but this year pretty much the quince has taken over and it's all quince. So if you go to a local nursery, you may not necessarily find quince, but what I recommend is to look at the label that they attach to fruit trees, especially I think Dave Wilson Nursery. They're pretty good at providing all the information about the rootstock and the cultivar and so on and so forth. So if you consult that piece of label they put on there, you might notice that if let's say you have a Bartlett pear, it might have been planted onto a quince rootstock. Medlar is pretty rare as well. You may not necessarily find it at your local nursery actually in North America, but you really have to search, look around to come across one. But Bartlett pears, or pears in general, are pretty common. Different types of apples, but you might come across a situation that you have a rootstock of quince that's been used to grow another cultivar. So just do that, or just search for a quince tree and try to plant the tree by itself. They're pretty good. They're pretty pest resistant, but they're not really. Like most other fruit trees, they're susceptible to being damaged by fungus. So in that respect, they're like other types of fruit trees, but they're very resistant to other types of pests. So I'm going to show you just I've harvested most of the fruits that were on the trees, but I'm going to show you the tree, and then like the Bartlett pear and the quince that's taken over, and the same thing with the medlar tree. Anyways, it's a beautiful day in the Sacramento Valley. The birds are singing, and I'm looking forward to a nice winter soon. Most of the fruit trees we have in our backyard are deciduous fruit trees. They're going to be dropping their leaves, and I've got a lot of pruning activities to take upon. So maybe once I do that, I'll make another video, show you guys how I prune down these trees. And there's quite a few of them that are growing quite abnormally. So one thing, as a backyard grower, I gotta say rule number one of growing fruit trees in your backyard is to take size control into consideration. Make sure you prune your trees quite regularly, so you won't run into a situation like us this year, that there's quite a few fruit trees that we have to trim them down. You have to prune them quite heavily to bring the size within a manageable level. Anyways, thank you very much. I'll show you guys the fruit trees, the Quince fruit trees, and I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of this video. Anyways, thank you very much for being with me. And if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel. I make videos of different kinds. I mean, I'm an audiophile. I love growing fruit trees in the backyard. I'm a photography enthusiast. I love listening to different kinds of music. So in that respect, my channel, the content I put on my channel is quite diversified. So it covers a wide range of things. But anyways, it'll be an honor if you consider subscribing to my channel. And if you have, please give me a thumbs up, and then I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Thank you very much. Now, I just picked this fruit off this tree in the back, and you see that it's got this little blemish. So what I gotta say is that if you're a backyard grower, blemishes, imperfections shouldn't really matter to you. This should be the quality of the fruit, the flavor, the aroma that are much more important than just the way the fruit looks. Of course, at supermarkets, fruits are sold by eye appeal, right? By the way they look. But in a backyard growing culture, that's the least important thing. The most important aspect of a fruit from a backyard grower point of view is the way the fruit smells, the nutritional content, and also just the flavor. This aroma is really, really intoxicating. I can just stay here all day long, just smell this piece of wonderful Quince. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm pretty sure it's going to taste just as well. This is a beautiful Bartlett pear tree. Of course, it's on a different rootstock. It's on a dwarf rootstock and not a Quince rootstock. Otherwise, Quince would have taken over the tree. But just look at these beautiful green leaves, and it's just about time that they start dropping. And yeah, just coming here and looking at this, it's as if you're standing behind a tapestry of nature. Really, really beautiful. Of course, I gotta prune this down a bit, keep the size quite manageable. But yeah, I can't get enough of just looking at this. So this is the medlar that grows on the same tree. Of course, this is supposed to be the main cultivar, but Quince seems to have taken over. So that was a medlar, but it's all grafted onto the same rootstock. Let me show you the root system. As you can see down there, there's quite a few of the offshoots that are competing with one another, but Quince tends to be the one that prevails and just takes over the whole system. So just beautiful green color, and the flowers that this tree produces are absolutely gorgeous. Let me show you a few other Quinces. Oh, there's quite a few. I didn't even see these. So take a look at them. More Quince to be harvested here. And people actually use these for making jams. One thing I don't quite like is that people add a lot of sugar to Quince. I mean, it's already sweet. I mean, it's a little bit sour, but it's more sweet than being sour. And you shouldn't really have to add any sugar to this. And trying to take this off. As you can see, a beautiful piece of fruit. Just wonderful.